Okay, picture this. What if your university library's next hire wasn't even a person? Well, today we're going to dive into this really fascinating experiment that did exactly that. They put an AI research assistant to work. And trust me, the results, they might just surprise you. I mean, we've all been there, right? You've got a deadline breathing down your neck, you're buried deep in the university's online portal, and it just feels like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You type in your keywords, and what you get back is, well, it's just this massive, overwhelming wall of information. And that's really the weird thing about where we are today, isn't it? Our libraries have more knowledge packed into them than at any point in history. But sometimes all that information actually makes it harder to find the one thing you actually need. So yeah, that really gets to the heart of what we could call the modern library's big dilemma. How do you handle this complete information overload, especially when everyone, including us, expects to find answers instantly? I mean, just think about it for a second. We are so used to just typing something into Google and getting a perfect answer, right? It's seamless. We expect that everywhere. But a lot of traditional library databases, they just weren't built for that. They have these really complex structures, and they just can't keep up. Honestly, they were designed for a totally different time. So what's the fix? Well, this is where a potential game changer comes into the picture, an AI research assistant. And in this case, a bunch of universities decided to test a tool that, yeah, you've definitely heard of, ChatGPT. So what is ChatGPT in this context? At its heart, it's an AI that's really, really good at understanding and writing like a human. And that completely changes the game for searching. Suddenly, you're not just plugging words into a search bar, you're actually having a conversation. It's kind of like the difference between, flipping through a giant phone book versus having a personal concierge who just gets what you're looking for. And look, this isn't just some hypothetical idea. A group of universities actually went and put this to the test in the real world. They wanted to see what would really happen. So everything we're talking about today, it's all grounded in a real study from 2024, published in the Journal of Web Librarianship. The researchers had one big question. What really happens when you plug a tool like ChatGPT into a university library system? To find out, they did these deep dive interviews with 12 different people from 6 universities in Bangladesh. And here's what was so smart about their approach. They didn't just talk to the librarians. No, they talked to 6 library pros and 6 IT pros. That way they got the full picture, a complete 360-degree view of what it actually takes to make this work. So, the big question, what did they actually find? Well, the results were pretty fascinating. It turned out to be a story with 2 very different sides. Some huge wins, but also some really big warnings. Okay, so on the plus side, the wins were obvious. The search experience was way more intuitive, students were happier, and the library staff actually got some of their time back. But then you've got the flip side, the big warnings. Things like major data privacy concerns, the risk of the AI just making stuff up, that's what they call AI hallucination, and the fact that this thing needs constant tweaking and you have to teach people how to use it properly. To give you a real sense of the good stuff, just listen to this quote from one of the deputy librarians. They said, "Our library patrons found ChatGPT helpful and called it a valuable tool for students." Why? Because it just made navigating the super complex databases so much easier. And hey, it wasn't just a win for the students. A programmer on the project pointed out that because the AI could handle all the simple, repetitive questions, it freed up the librarians to work on the really tough, important stuff. I mean, that's a massive win for efficiency. But like I said, it wasn't all smooth sailing. Another deputy librarian brought up a huge hurdle: data privacy. People were worried, and rightfully so. The team had to put in some serious, robust security measures to make sure everyone's information was safe and to build that all-important trust. And then there was the tech side of things. Probably the biggest issue was just making sure the AI was accurate. One of the programmers said that getting it to give the right answers for really complex academic questions was a continuous challenge. In other words, this was no set it and forget it kind of deal. It needed constant attention and fine-tuning. So, if the tech itself has all these pros and cons, what was the real secret to success? What actually made it work? Well, it turns out the most important part wasn't the AI at all. It was the people. Yeah, the single biggest takeaway from the entire study was this. The key to making it work wasn't the AI, it was the collaboration. The library folks and the IT folks working together. The tech by itself, just not enough. And they broke down what that winning formula really looks like. First, you need a real partnership, not just IT and the library in their separate corners. Second, you have to get constant feedback from the people actually using it, the students and the professors. And third, you take that feedback and use it to make the AI better, constantly. It's like a living, breathing system. And this last quote from a deputy librarian just sums up the whole journey perfectly. They said, yeah, it was a learning curve, for sure, but that collaboration between departments was what made it all click in the end. It's what ultimately made everything smoother for the users. So what's the big picture here? What does this all mean for the future of the library at your university? Well, it really points to a new kind of model, a hybrid one. Because at the end of the day, the big takeaway here isn't that robots are coming to replace librarians. Not at all. This is a story about partnership. It's about combining the deep expertise of humans with the incredible efficiency of AI to build something way better than either one could be on its own. And the ultimate goal? To make all that amazing knowledge accessible to everyone. And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Knowing what we know now, that success isn't just about buying cool new tech, but about building partnerships, listening to feedback, and always improving. Is your library really ready for an AI assistant?